so much, David. How many of you guys have ever read the book, Just Mercy? So you know who Brian Stevenson is? EJI? Well, okay, so EJI's got Brian Stevenson, you guys have got David. And that's a really big deal. I am Jennifer Thompson. I do come from North Carolina. You'll see this PowerPoint on a loop, and there's a reason for that. And as I go through my story, it'll all make sense to you, I promise. And it's interesting that you reminded me it was 2002, because I had forgotten the year. But in the year of 2000, in June of 2000, I was standing on my deck in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, wearing a blue and white terry cloth bathrobe, and my hair was up in a towel. And on the deck with me was the BBC. And they were doing a documentary with a companion coffee table book titled The Human Face. It's all about human memory, about the brain, how the brain works. We will recognize certain facial features or races or just all the different things that come up with how we see things and why we respond to the things we see. And my phone rang. And so I go in and answer the phone, and it's this man by the name of Dick Burr. He says, "Hi, my name is Dick Burr. I'm a public capital defender in Houston, Texas, and I'm representing this inmate by the name of Gary Graham, who's going to be executed by the state of Texas in 22 days. And I wanted to know, would you come down to Texas and speak at a press conference about your story and about the death penalty?" And I said, "Well, Mr. Burr, I have to tell you that I believe in the death penalty. I think it's an appropriate punishment. I think if people do the worst thing imaginable, then the state has the right to take your life." Mr. Burr says, "Well, okay, now I'll respect your opinion, but you don't agree with executing innocent people, do you?" And I said, "Well, no, of course not. But this is the United States of America. We don't have innocent people on death row. Like, we just don't do that. Like other countries might do it. You might see that in China or Iraq, but you don't see that in the United States of America. That's why we have like appeals and all these different safeguards in place, because that stuff won't happen here." And he says, "Well, if I overnight you the case file and you read it and you think there might be a claim of innocence, would you agree to come to Houston, Texas?" And I said, "Well, okay, fine, but you probably should know something, Mr. Burr. My 10-year-old triplets are in camp right now for the first time ever for a week. And I have this list of things I want to do, right? Like, I want to eat my dinner while it's still hot. And I want to take a shower all by myself. And so I have this stuff I want to do. But overnight me the case file, I'll take a look at it." And so he did, overnighted it, and I stayed up all night long reading this case file. And I was absolutely shocked that a man was going to be executed in the United States of America based on a single eyewitness ID who saw the shooter at night from 75 feet away in her rear view mirror for 2 to 3 seconds. And I thought in my naive brain that I would go to Houston, Texas, and I would somehow illuminate the folks that live in the state of Texas, and they would have an aha moment, and we would save Gary Graham's life. So off I flew to Texas. And I would get to the hotel, and a wonderful man by the name of Rob Warden, who was the executive director at the Center on Wrongful Convictions out of Chicago, Illinois, met me. And he said, "Jennifer, go upstairs and freshen up, call your family, let them know you're safe. And if you come downstairs for dinner, we'd like to take you for dinner." And anybody who knows me very well knows that I don't give up free food, ever. I said, "Fine, I'll be happy to come downstairs." So I did, and I went down to the dining room, and sitting at the table were 12 men and women. They were black and white from different parts of the country. None of them I knew. And I sat down, and while everybody began to tell us just a minute or two about who you are and why you're here. And the first person to stand up was Kirk Bloodsworth. And he stood up and he said, "My name is Kirk Bloodsworth. I'm from Cambridge, Maryland. I was sentenced to death for the rape and murder of a 9-year-old little girl by the name of Dawn Hamilton. We spent 8 years, 11 months, and 19 days waiting to be gassed in the gas chamber. Eyewitnesses put me at the scene of the crime. DNA freed me. And I remember not breathing. And I thought, my God, we are incarcerating innocent people to death in this country. The next one was Joyce Ann Brown, this beautiful, beautiful African-American woman who said, my name is Joyce Ann Brown. I spent 16 years in the Women's Correctional Facility in Houston, Texas for the murder and the attempted murder of a shopkeeper and his wife. Even though my time card showed that I was at work at the time of the murder, I couldn't have been there. It didn't matter. Eyewitnesses said it was me. And I thought, my God, we've got innocent women incarcerated in the United States of America. This went around the table. Dennis Williams, one of the Ford Heights Ford of Chicago, Illinois, 17 years on death row, even though the police knew on the 5th day of the arrest they had the wrong people. They didn't say anything. They put it in a file cabinet until journalism students found the evidence. Perry Cobb, Kevin Green, a Marine out of Orange County, California, who was sentenced to life for the bludgeoning of his wife and her rape and the subsequent death of their unborn daughter. He would be sentenced to San Quentin. All of these stories went around, and it was all eyewitness ID, eyewitness ID, eyewitness ID, eyewitness ID. And then they came to me and they said, now you tell them who you are. And I said, no, thank you. You see, I can't move. And if I tell them who I am, they're going to hate me. And they're probably going to want to kill me later on tonight. And so I think I'll pass. Somehow I found the courage to stand up, and I said, my name is Jennifer Thompson. I'm from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. In the summer of 1984, at the age of 22 years old, I was in my senior year of college. I was doing everything right. I was going to graduate summa cum laude. That's how you pronounce it, by the way. I was going to graduate valedictorian of my class. I was maintaining a 4.0 GPA. I was getting ready to go to graduate school because I wanted to be a physical therapist, because I wanted to put people back together again. And I had been dating a young man, and we were going to get engaged. He was going to be a dentist. I was working 2 jobs because I wanted to pay my own bills. I wanted to be an independent woman. Everything was in place for me to be successful until the early morning hours of July 29th of 1984. I'd gone to bed early that night, alone. My boyfriend had brought me home early from a party because I had come down with a headache after playing tennis in the middle of the day in North Carolina and being dehydrated. The last memory I had of that night was him giving me aspirin and making sure that I'd be okay before he would leave my apartment. Around 3 a.m., I had an uncomfortable feeling that I wasn't alone, that there was someone in my apartment. I was in that place between awake and asleep, that moment, where you're not really sure what's happening. And I felt something brush against my left arm. As I struggled to open my eyes, I looked to the left of my bed and I noticed the top of a man's head. I could hear him moving on my carpet. My first thought was, this has got to be my boyfriend, because he's polite and he probably fell asleep on the floor and he doesn't want to wake me up, and that's just the kind of guy he was. Until I realized my boyfriend never spent the night with me. He was Greek. I love Greek people. I particularly love their food. But his mother lived a mile and a half down the road, and she wanted to know where her children were every minute of every day. I said, who is that? Who's there? And at that moment, a man quickly jumped up on my bed. I screamed. He covered my mouth with a gloved hand and put a knife to my throat and said, shut up or I'm going to kill you.